Do you want to bust your sales quota? Do you want to join the ranks of top 1% sellers? The Top 1% Sellers podcast gives you the insights and the tools to help you achieve your sales greatness. The podcast features sales and services professionals, leaders, and experts to give you the edge you're looking for. Here's your host, Seddeek.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Top 1% Sellers podcast. Our interview today is going to be an amazing, and it's on sales coaching and how it can really benefit your business. And we'll actually talk to an expert in this particular field. And I will give my guest here an opportunity to share with you a little bit of a background on himself and his company. And then we'll delve deeper on the sales coaching dynamic and how it can benefit individual sales professionals as well as also sales teams. Jason?
Awesome. I'm super excited, Ash, to be here, and it's gonna be a great show. This is my favorite topic.
Fantastic. And I want to let you know, if you maybe take a minute, let people know about yourself, your business. How long have you been in this business? And then we'll delve deeper into the questions.
Awesome. Well, my whole life, I was raised in a family where selling was very noble. It was something that pretty much everyone in my family did. When I was a kid, I remember going to my dad, and he owned a jewelry store in Dallas, and he I had some friends that their parents had lost their job, and it was during the kind of the recession of the 80s. And I said, "Dad, are you worried about losing your job?" And he said, "No." He said, "As long as you're a top 1% sales professional, you always have to have a job. The second to last person to ever get fired in a company is the highest revenue producer. The last person to get fired is the owner."
Yes.
And he said, as long as you're always performing your very best and you're always the top, because you're recession proof. Right now, the ex-president Obama doesn't have a job. He was the president of the United States. He's out of work.
Yes,
so
exactly.
If you're a top salesperson, you always have a job. So I was raised in that belief system of I've sold everything in my entire life, from clothing to training services to to financial services to homes, real estate. Pretty much everything. And so I just always believed in becoming that top 1% and studying the top 1%. And then, of course, went into sales management and then training. I was the head of training for a Fortune 500 company, and then went and about 10 years ago started my own company, FPG.
Fantastic. Wonderful, Jason. It's amazing. And I absolutely agree with you. It seems that, selling is such an amazing skill to have, even if you're not in sales and you're able to persuade people and really show them the value of what it is that you bring to the table. You really make a difference in people's lives. I'd love to then kind of get deeper on something that you touched, which is really, part and parcel of my business as well, is really sort of building top 1% sellers. And I'd love to understand, number one, maybe should help people understand the business model that you're currently having in the company, whether you're working with sales professionals one-on-one or you're working with sales teams in organizations. If you can give us a sense of that, and then what kind of philosophy is driving some of the work that you do? That's
awesome. So we have a program called Warrior Selling, and everything that FPG does. And you go to fpg.com, stands for Forrest Performance Group. But everything we do is all about training programs versus events. And so, for example, on average, across America, the companies spend about $160-something billion a year in training.
Yeah.
70% of them actually fail to meet their ROI. We happen to be in the 30% that's crushing it. So we had over about 35 different clients across 11 different industries last year, and all of them met or exceeded their sales goals. All of them. So if you were to turn FPG into a mutual fund, we would beat the small index fund by 2.5 times based upon the progress and the success of our clients. And we just do things very differently here. So everything we do is a program versus an event. It's all based on experiential learning. It's all based on constant follow-up. It's all based on learning chunking, learning theory. We've won 4 international awards for behavioral change.
Yes.
And in one of our books, Leadership Sales Coaching is used as the textbook for the sales leadership degree program at High Point University in North Carolina. And so we just believe in real world application. We believe in bringing back the pride, purpose, and respect, professional selling. I call myself the youngest old school trainer that's out. And, the program we have, the selling program we have is called Warrior Selling.
Yes.
And then we have leadership sales coaching, and then of course a customer service program and a culture program. But people most know us for the warrior selling program that we do.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think, given the fact that, we're going to be publishing this on the C-Suite radio, I'd love for you to, assuming that the listener does not really know about your clients and the kind of work that you do, I'd love for us to perhaps give them some of the signs that a lot of the clients that you work with see happening, and then that drives them to actually reach out to you and say, hey, Jason, come in, let's talk. There are things that are happening that are causing us to seek out help. If you maybe give us some examples of client situations, some of the key things that are happening that then get you to the point where they're having a conversation with you, Jason.
Yeah, perfect. So, really, a lot of our business obviously comes from word of mouth, and it definitely comes from our prospecting efforts that we do. But really, what's interesting is the clients that usually hire us are the ones that are already in that that top sales stratosphere level. What's different in our philosophy is that we are a very assertive style of selling. Yeah. We're pretty much one of the only training companies that's out that actually teaches a assertive style of selling versus more of that soft style of selling. There's tons of research that we can provide for you. Yeah. The soft style of selling, that consultative style of selling that was really made famous back in the 80s, there's no actual proven science that actually works. And all of that relationship style of selling, all it does is create uncertainty for the buyer, and the buyer ends up going to a assertive style salesperson that actually closes the deal and creates resolution and makes the customer feel wanted. Now, I don't believe you do anything to the customer. I believe you do something for the customer.
Yes.
I also believe that, hey, what you just heard right now was the money bell. Every time you hear that bell ring in the background, that's one of my salespeople making a sales call. So that is awesome. So that's my favorite bell to hear.
Yeah.
So so that's different than we teach. We also teach the psychology of things. So if you think about like what percentage of selling is mental, what would you say, versus skills? What percentage?
I would basically say maybe 60%.
Yeah, I would say that 60, 70, 80% is mental.
Yes.
And what's interesting about that is that majority of training companies, they don't talk about the mental side, which is 60, 70, 80%. So what we do is I developed a formula called, it's our trademark formula that everything is based around, and that is performance equals knowledge minus leashes.
Yeah, interesting.
Equals knowledge minus leashes. And our tagline of our company, FPG, is human performance unleashed.
Yes.
And the idea behind it is, if you write down the formula right now, it'll apply to so many things in your life, to parenting, to leadership, to anything.
Yes.
But performance is what a person does, what the result they get. The knowledge is the process, pattern, and strategy that we teach them to do. So we say, hey, when the customer, after you've understood their concerns and you've resolved and you've solved those concerns, well, now you got to resolve them, and you got to say, great, so you're ready to move forward with us. So that's the knowledge.
Yes.
The majority of people never actually ask that. Well, that's because they've got leashes that are holding them back. And those leashes are the rules, the scotomas, the blind spots, limiting beliefs that says, well, I have to give myself permission. I need to get permission to ask a person to buy.
Yes.
And when I ask people all the time, I say, well, give me an example of permission. And they say, well, if they're smiling, if both decision makers are present, if they're asking questions. And I say, great. So you've never sold to a frowny face person?
Yes.
You just look at this way. One of the things to know about selling to the C-suite, which is a really good thing, if anyone on this calls is thinking about selling to the C-suite, something we need to know about CEOs is as they go up higher on the totem poles, as they go up higher on the ladder, they go from employee to manager to department head to in the C-suite. Now they're the boss. Now they're the top C-suite. Well, the gravitational pull of being so high up on the ladder pulls their face down, which is why they got resting bitch face all the time.
Interesting. Yes.
So if you're looking at the CEO's face, they're never going to smile. I don't know of a CEO that smiles at all.
Yes.
So if you have a leash that says, I'm looking for them to smile before I ask them to buy, you'll never sell anything. You'll have skinny kids.
Exactly. Yes.
You can't afford to feed them.
Yes. That's incredible. That's incredible. So in that case, then, you definitely have a very obvious philosophy around what they need to do to do things differently. Do you then, in that case, work with a particular industry, or you are open when it comes to what industry you work with?
Oh yeah, so we are in. So right now we're officially in 13 different industries. So we are in mortgage, we're in insurance, both life insurance and property insurance. We are in banking. We are in real estate. We're in new home sales. We are in car sales. We have the second most successful car dealership in the U.S. and the number one Rolls-Royce dealership in the world. We are in huge furniture companies. We are in death services that sell pre-need, like cremation services and so forth, and funeral before a person dies.
It's amazing.
Nursing homes, we don't call them nursing homes anymore, assisted living. We're in 13 different industries, commercial engineering, tech sales, pretty much all. And look, selling is selling. It's all the same stuff.
Exactly. And I'm also curious, again, thinking about the listener here and the environment that they're in. A lot of the time they are trying to figure out sort of the 80-20 in the business. Who are the 20% in the sales force that are bringing in the 80% of revenue, and how they can make a difference.
Thank you for tuning in to the Top 1% Sellers Podcast. Give us your suggestions and guest recommendations by emailing us at ash@connectwithash.com. Thank you also for sharing this podcast with your colleagues and social media contacts. To connect with us on LinkedIn, please send a connect request to ash@connectwithash.com. See you at our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.
What I call the minimum effective dose theory.
Yes.
The dose theory is, you got to take so many milligrams of vitamin C to be effective. You can't take a half a baby aspirin if you have a headache. You have to take 2 aspirin. If you want water to boil, it has to go to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a minimum effective dose in anything.
Yes.
And so, I think the minimum effective dose that I would focus on first and foremost is, if you don't have any experience in this job as a salesperson, then you got to make sure you give them the knowledge, but make sure that you don't give them any leashes while they're learning the knowledge.
Yes.
Okay? At the same time, if you are a veteran, then majority of the time needs to be focused on coaching them to remove the leashes that are holding them back.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, a brand new salesperson doesn't know that both decision makers need to be present in order to ask them a person to buy.
Yes.
They don't know that. It's only a veteran that knows that.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful that we don't do that. So, I was just off a coaching call with a bunch of sales managers just a second ago, and the sales manager gave the worst advice, and I helped him see it differently.
Yes.
He said, I had this top closer in real estate, and he was closing so hard that he had high cancellations. So I told him to slow down the process and not ask the person to buy as fast.
Okay.
So now what has happened? Now the guy went from being the top 1% salesperson in his division to now he's not even making his quota.
Yes.
So he just gave him a bunch of leashes.
Yes.
And so I told the guy, I said, look, here's the deal. I said, you just messed him up. I said, he's a top salesperson. So instead of trying to make him a yielder or have yielding tendencies, instead go to him and just change his paradigm and say, all you need to do is you need to continue to sell from contract to close.
Yes.
A lot of times in a lot of purchases, the person signs a purchase agreement before they actually get the product, before they actually get like the home, or in this case, the home is a 12-month building process.
Right.
They can cancel along the way, right?
Yes.
And so your job is just to call them up an hour later and say, hey, Mr. Customer, sometimes about an hour later, kind of emotions start to settle and sometimes the questions come out. And so I would like to know if there's any kind of questions you have in order to, that you want me to address. Just do that a couple of times and you're totally fine. But the idea behind, and this is a good thing for everyone to write down, is if you treat a customer like a prospect, they'll never feel like a customer.
Oh, that's a good point. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
The problem with salespeople, the struggle salespeopeople have is that they treat them like a prospect, and then all of a sudden they become a customer, and they don't treat them well anymore. Like, so my dad in selling jewelry, he's got a third generational jewelry store now. He's not third generation. He's selling to third generational buyers. That's pretty good, right? The oldest jewelry store in Dallas.
Yes.
And so check this out. So this is a fun kind of metaphor on keeping the sale sold.
Yes.
That you guys need to think about. So he would say, look, he's like, I got one secret to keeping the sale sold. He said, right now I'm going to tell you a story. He told me a story when I was like 7 years old, and he tells it to everyone. And he said, look, so right now all of a sudden there's a guy on the pearly gates of heaven.
Yes.
And he's about to go into heaven, and Angel Gabriel looks at him and says, hey, so you ready to come in? He said, no, I want to check out my other options. Can I go see hell? I said, no problem. So he goes to hell, and all of a sudden it's like spring break 1997. You know, everyone's doing beer bongs and having a great time and super fun and dancing and partying. And it's just a great rave and super fun.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he's like, man, this is pretty great. So he goes to heaven. It's like they're playing Enya and there's long walks on the beach. Everything's reading books. It's really peaceful. And he's like, well, you know, that's kind of nice, but I think I really like the spring break 1997. Let's go back to that.
Yes.
And so he said, great, your wish is my command. All of a sudden he's in hell. And it's fire and brimstone. It's hot. It's miserable. It's a horrible experience. And he said, hey, what happened to the fun, all the fun?
Yes.
He said, oh, he said, that's when you were a prospect. Now you're a customer.
Oh my.
That's all you got to do. You just got to keep the spring break 1997 alive and they'll not cancel. But like, that's an example of how, you know, a sales manager with all the right intention, he actually messed the salesperson up.
Yes.
Because he gave him a leash that said, stop being a hard closer. And instead what he should say is keep being a hard closer all along the way.
Yeah. Stay connected.
Yeah.
Keep the conversation flowing, all of those things.
Yep.
That's terrific. No, it's interesting that you caught it, because sometimes it could just pass across and not realize that it's actually affecting a bigger issue. And not just probably for that one person.
That's it. But if you want to get right into it, I've got some pretty controversial topics that. So what I do is I study the top 1% like you do, which is really great.
Yes.
The top 1%, they do things that are very different than everyone else.
Yes.
Very different.
And let's do this. We'll pause for a second for a commercial break, and then when I come back, I'd love for you to maybe at least share with the audience maybe 5 of those. But that'd be amazing. Thank you.
I've got them.
Yes. Fantastic. We're back now, everyone, with Jason Forrest, and he's sharing with us his own experience with top 1% sellers, and he's got some unconventional thinking and contrarian thinking on how top 1% sellers succeed, and he's going to share with us his top pieces of advice in this particular area. Jason.
Awesome, cool. Well, really quickly, I'll just share a couple of things that I think are super important. So one, I would say I call this the 4 traits of top sales professionals. You know, so number 1 is they are extremely purposeful and intentional in everything they do. So they know where they're going, how they're going to get there, and why it's important. And everything they think about is like a chess game. They're always thinking 10 moves ahead, not like a checkers game where it's 1 move ahead. And so a top 1%er is always like, okay, the close begins when I say, hi, my name is, and you are. Like they're immediately setting up the close. It might happen 2 hours later, but they're setting up the close from the second they open their mouth. That's number 1. Yeah. Number 2, they have high energy. They got high motivation in order to accomplish those goals. Because look, it takes stamina in order to keep up with the resistance of, you know, the sale. And number 3 is they're very unleashed. They're very unleashed. They just don't have any rules. They don't have rules that are holding them back. And I always tell people, look, start off with the premise that you don't have any rules, and then add in 3 to be moral, ethical, and legal. That's all the rules you need.
Yes.
You don't have any other rules besides that. And so moral, ethical, and legal is all you need. All the other rules that you have are head trash. They're just slowing you down. So let those things go, right?
Absolutely.
And then number 4, the 4th trait of top producers is they're very procedural based. They're procedural based, meaning that you look at the average salesperson. The average salesperson is like, well, every customer is different. I don't really follow process. You know, I just kind of just feel the customer out, and then I kind of like create a custom experience for each customer. If you ask any top 1%er, hey, how much of your process is different from the beginning to the end? They'll go, I don't know, maybe 1% is different.
Yes.
1%er because 1% is different. They follow the exact same process. And so I tell them all the time, I said, look, here's the deal. If you study a top 1%er and you shadow them, they're the most boring people to watch on the planet because they don't ever change.
Yeah, they know how to take the deal through. Yeah. Yeah,
they're extremely rich. So I tell people, look, do you want to be boring to watch but have money so that you can go have fun with the money? Or do you want to be fun to watch because every day is different for you and you change it up, but really be really poor and not have any money to go have fun with? Which one do you want? You know, and I'd rather be boring to watch and have lots of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I call it, the 4 traits of top producers. And then, you know, some other things that people could write down. This is a game-changing one that people really disagree with me on, but hopefully I can get people through it.
Yes.
And that is top 1% salespeople, follow-up for them is actually plan B, not plan A.
Interesting. How so?
Okay. So it's another leash that we've done to the world right now. So what happened is, you know, think about, like, why in the world do we teach follow-up, follow-up, follow-up? Well, it's because we haven't closed the deal.
Yes.
Right? So we should not be pressing on follow-up. We should be pressing on close, close, close.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, if you look at any of the stats out there, the stats basically say that less than 10% of the prospects are ever going to talk to you again after the first conversation. So if less than 10% are going to talk to you, but yet we're spending all this energy on follow-up, it's the wrong answer. We're not doing the right thing. So instead, spend more time with them on the front end, get them to buy from you, close them while they're there, because they're not going to talk to you afterwards. But we spend so much energy on CRM follow-up and just forcing that. And I just tell people, look, follow-up is your plan B, not your plan A. Meaning, don't go in with the intention that I'm going to follow up with them. Go with the intention that I'm going to close the deal. Yeah. And if you make a mistake, then you follow up. Because the whole reason why you follow up is like, oh, I forgot to tell you about blank. Or what concerns do you have about this? Or, hey, have you talked to so-and-so about it? I want to go over that with you. Or, all that stuff can be done on the first conversation. Exactly. When they're actually they're present with you. Like they close them while they're hot.
Absolutely. So then in that thought process, then there's a lot of preparation routine that you think top 1% sellers are adopting for sure.
Well, yeah. Well, what's interesting is we have one of the guys on my team. His name is Richard Tiller, and he's coached over 30,000 hours in his lifetime. Right, the guy's Yoda of sales coaching, leadership development, executive coaching. That's all he does is one-on-one coaching on my team. The rest of the people do big seminars. And anyway, so he told me, he said, "Look, Jason, it's the craziest thing." He said, the people that are the best at closing are the worst at follow-up.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay? The people that are the worst at closing are the best at follow-up.
That is so powerful, what you just said. It's very interesting. Because then what you're saying is that really those who are really good at it don't really need to do a whole lot of follow-up after that. Because they close, from that
because the top salespeople go, I got my shot. I have a window of opportunity here. Right. And I know that as soon as the customer leaves, the chance of me getting them back on the phone again or trying to talk to them again is really, really slim.
Yes.
And so at that moment, I'm going to be better served focusing on my next prospect, learning from my mistakes. When I lose, I learn, figuring it out and being better next time to keep the person with me longer. Yes. They're not going to talk to you ever again. Like, you've got to get that out of your head and stop telling yourself the story that, no, this customer is the exception. I promise you they're going to talk to me again. They don't ever talk to you again.
Yeah. A lot of the time, you're right. It's just one shot you got.
Yeah, one shot, one opportunity. You're going to take it and let it slip away.
Yes. And I'd love for you maybe share with the audience the program you have, and because I think a lot of people maybe listening in will feel that a lot of the tactics you're advising are sort of heavy duty, hard selling, but I'm sure there is a lot of conscious thought behind it. So if you maybe share with us what happens when they're actually going through the program in order some of those philosophies to be embedded in them, and then the sale process is actually a good experience for the buyer.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So look, so let me go some of my tenets here. So I believe selling is very noble. Yeah. I believe it's something you do for the customer, not to the customer. I believe the definition of selling by Warrior Selling by us is selling is giving certainty plus education with rapport. You got to give the customer certainty. When certainty is lost, all is lost. You lose certainty in your marriage, you're getting a divorce. You lose certainty in your job, you're going to quit. Your job loses certainty in you, you're going to get fired. Yeah. A prospect loses certainty in you, they're not talking to you ever again. A customer loses certainty, they're going to cancel from you. So certainty is huge. We got to back it up with education. And you got to have rapport. And rapport basically is not what you think. Rapport, people have completely taught rapport incorrectly. Most people say rapport is getting them to like you. Rapport is being on the same page with them with the goal of mutual respect and mutual purpose and mutual outcomes. Yeah. That's it. So, for example, like I have a tax advisor that I don't actually like. Yeah. He's the greatest tax advisor on the planet, and he's got rapport with me because his whole goal is to help me minimize my taxes. Like, that's his entire goal, right? Yeah, exactly. So I don't need to like the guy. I just need to respect him, and I need to believe that he's got my back and he has the most certainty in getting me where I need to go. He backs it up with education, and we're both on the same page that we both want to minimize taxes.
Exactly.
And so, but think of it this way. Think about how important this is. So selling is what we do for someone, not to someone. So let's just say, hypothetically, you go into a doctor's office and you got a stomach ache. You're like, doctor, my stomach hurts. And he's like, hey, no problem. He said, so tell me what you're wanting to solve today. Because I don't want to push anything on you. I want to consult with you a little bit. Well, doctor, my stomach hurts. I want you to get rid of the stomach pain. And the doctor says, okay, well, we've got several options for you. Let me bring out my price sheet and my feature benefit list. And so, we got this pill. You can take this pill. It's pretty good. I got this one over here. I got a great incentive on it. I got a great deal. You should probably look at that one.
Yeah.
And, the blue pill. Everyone should take the blue pill.
Yeah.
Hey, so why don't you do this? I don't want to force anything on you. And so why don't you just go take a look at it, and I'll come back in about 20 minutes, and then I'll do a follow-up visit with you to see which one you want to go with. So maybe you want to consult with someone, and the guy walks out, and the patient's like, I just want my stomach. Just tell me which one to pick, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah.
And then the customer says, the doctor comes in and says, so which have you made the decision? And the patient's like, just tell me which one to pick. And the doctor's like, I'm not going to force you to do anything. It's your life. It's your body. You choose which one you want. I mean, what would you do? You would immediately leave the doctor, and you'd probably sue the guy for malpractice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Correct? But why do we sell like that? The customer just wants to improve their life. The customer just wants to get in. The desire to improve one's life has more influence over a person's buying decision than any other factor. So all they do is they want resolution. They want to feel wanted. They want peace. They want to move. They want to move forward.
Absolutely, and they want you to be that trusted advisor that will tell them which one to pick.
That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very, it's amazing. I love what you're saying, and I wonder how social selling fits in your world. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I wouldn't call it social selling. I would call it marketing.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not selling. Selling is to give certainty plus education with rapport. I mean, I guess you can give education. I don't know how you're going to give rapport. I mean, because your rapport is, again, being on the same page with them. So it's knowing what outcome the customer is trying to achieve and then aligning your outcomes with their outcomes. So I would say social selling is more social marketing. Yeah. And it's about getting more leads in so that you can hand them off to a salesperson to do their job.
Fantastic. I love that. That's a fantastic distinction. I think probably maybe we'll take 5 minutes. And I think what I'd love to do with those 5 minutes is share with people a bit about what Jason and his team do with sales management to really make sure that they are going to be the right custodians for the philosophies and the training that you do with the sales force itself. Given, going back to the first conversation you mentioned about what the sales manager was saying, what do you typically do to make sure that you're going to leave everything behind with the right people that are going to take care of it?
That's awesome. So our leadership sales coaching program won the best sales management development program in the world out of 40 countries.
Wow.
In 2016. So I do love this topic a lot. And, my philosophy on coaching, when I wrote the book, Leadership Sales Coaching, there was no book out there that really taught coaching. It was all sales management. And the whole book is how do you go from a manager to a coach. It's very different. And so what I did is I studied the best sports coaches that are out there. And my coaching philosophy is a hybrid between 3 coaches. One, it would be Bill Belichick, who is currently the winningest coach of all time in NFL. And he's a scientist. He's all about focusing on the process, knowing the score's going to take care of itself. That's him. And then number 2 would be Nick Saban of Alabama. And he's all about making sure that that there's a culture, there's a team aspect of things, that we're all working together and we all believe in ourselves and believe in what we're trying to do. Yes. And then you've got Pete Carroll, who's really the therapist and the psychologist, and he's all about removing leashes that hold people back. And so, to me, those are the 3 that I would say is my kind of main coaching style and how I apply that to salespeople. Because, look, salespeople are athletes, and they must be coached like athletes, not managed like employees.
Yes.
You have to see it like that, right? So, So I would say the biggest thing that a manager needs to do when they're going from manager to a coach is they need to realize that a coach's job is to be a teacher of philosophy, a teacher of process, a teacher of presentation. And the mistake that managers make a lot is they spend so much time on the result and the score. And they go, hey, so how'd you do this week? I noticed you didn't sell anything. Or, hey, I noticed you're 2 behind your quota, or great job for being 2 above your quota. That'd be like Bill Belichick of the Patriots, not even going to the game, hanging out in the skybox,
right?
Not even watching it, drinking a cocktail, and then afterwards going, hey, great job on the score. I noticed you guys didn't do your job, or I noticed you didn't score anything. So what's going on? I mean, you can't. You got to coach in the field. You got to be tactical, boots on the ground. You got to make it happen.
Yeah. So see the game, be able to feedback on it.
Yeah, be able to get the feedback on it, and so. You got to call the plays from the field. And I say all the time, coaches, you got to get out there. But the reason why coaches don't get out there is because they've got leashes themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So a coach, for example, they don't know how to sell themselves.
It's incredible.
Right. And it's so funny because all the time people push back on me. They say, but Jason, we had this whole philosophy that we realized back in the day that top salespeople make horrible managers. And so we decided I said, what do you now? Oh, we hire like an average salesperson, then we promote them to become a manager. I said, okay, so make sure I understand this. You take a person who doesn't know how to sell, that's got all kinds of leashes, and you tell them to go teach how to get your salespeople to perform at a higher level. How do any of them respect them? How could they look at any of them in the eyeballs and say, hey, I've been in your shoes. I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly how to achieve greatness. I mean, how can they do it? So I tell people, look, I agree with your statement that the top salespeople make horrible managers, but I'm not asking them to be a manager. I'm asking them to be a coach.
Exactly.
The difference. So a manager sits in a back room and runs reports the whole time versus and talks about strategy. I don't need them doing that.
Yes.
I need a coach that's in the field teaching. Well, and I need them taking over deals. I need them talking to customers. I need them, co-leading sales presentations, wingman selling, doing TOs. I need all of that. What the top 1% does, and a manager can't do any of that.
Exactly. And then I would imagine that in your program, you actually sort of give them a protocol, maybe one or two, to help them do the coaching. Because I think for a lot of managers, it's a new thing. It's not in their muscles, if you will. And they have to train that muscle in order to become good coaches. So how do you sort of educate them on that?
Yeah, perfect. So again, in the coaching book that they definitely could purchase, it's I teach 75 principles on how to be a coach versus a manager. So there's 75 things they can focus on. So so definitely that. But I would say, look, one of the most important things they can do is they gotta have no fear of conflict. Because without conflict, there is no change. And so they have to be able to do that. They also have to be able to. We teach I developed this concept called the 8 objectives of coaching.
Yes.
And the 8 objectives of coaching is whenever you first start a coaching session, I'll just give you a quick version, you got to pre-frame it. So you would say, so let's say you're working on someone needs to, you want to teach this concept that follow-up is plan B, not plan A, right? You want to help them close the deal on in the moment. And so you would say, hey, suppose I could show you a way to increase your sales and your conversion, which will allow you to get on President's Club, which will allow you to get that vacation that you're looking for your family. Would you be interested in hearing what I have to say?
Yeah.
And the salesperson says, yeah, great. Well, I want to teach you a concept that follow-up now needs to be your plan B, not your plan A. And so what I mean by that is, what percentage of your buyers are you able to get on the phone with, after the first conversation? And the salesperson says, I don't know, maybe 8%. Awesome. How many hours a week are you spending in follow-up activities, strategizing, making phone calls, CRM management, organization? And the salesperson says, I don't know, probably 15 hours a week. Great. So you're spending 15 hours a week for an 8% return. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take 10 of those hours, and why don't I show you how to spend more time with the customer in front of you so that you can actually take the customer further. You can create more decisions and remove the indecision the customer has. And would you be interested in hearing how to do that? And you think that would help you sell more? Yeah, I guess it would. Awesome. So here's the process on how to do it. And then you validate and you say, I believe when you do this, I believe you're going to get the results you need. And then the next question is, do you believe it's going to work? And what's holding you back from doing it? What leashes do you have that would keep you from trying this?
Yes.
And when do you try this? And when can we follow up to talk about it so we can celebrate your new victories?
Absolutely. So it looks like
the 8 objectives of coaching.
Yeah, I love that, because what you basically did is that you got the salesperson to go through the logic themselves and see what the problem is and see where the opportunity is. I love that approach that you just showed people. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. I think it's I want to really share with the audience that there's a lot more, and I can tell from the passion that you are speaking with, that there's so much more that Jason and his organization can bring to sales teams and sales organizations in many industries, as he said. And I think we'll definitely have in the show notes all the different links for Jason and his company, and also his book as well. And I would very much encourage you to do very much like what Jason said, just do a bit of research, find out more, because there could be a lot of money that's on the table that your sales teams are leaving on the table because they don't close sooner, and the sales process takes much longer. And then you end up basically, chasing them to make sure they update the CRM and that follow-up. I love what you said about follow-up should be plan B. And I think for a lot of companies, that would be a major shift. It will basically disrupt the thought process on how they are selling.
Be a huge shift.
Yeah.
I actually have, if people want to write this number down, I've got a link where they can download our Big Idea ebook.
Yes.
It's some game-changing kind of concepts like this. And if they just text podcast FPG, so podcast FPG, F as in Forrest Performance Group, podcast FPG to the number 44222, then they'll be able to download the Big Idea ebook, which goes over some pretty crazy concepts.
Fantastic. I think that's fantastic opportunity for them to get something real quick and get a lot of ideas that they can implement. And again, reaching out to Jason, I think will be the best thing that they could do. Jason, it's been a pleasure. I love the fact that people got to really experience you and see your passion for sales and sales coaching. And thank you so much for joining me here on the Top 1% Sellers podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. Love your show.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you for tuning in to the Top 1% Sellers podcast. Give us your suggestions and guest recommendations by emailing us at ash@connectwithash.com. Thank you also for sharing this podcast with your colleagues and social media contacts. To connect with us on LinkedIn, please send a connect request to ash@connectwithash.com. See you at our next episode. Thanks for tuning in.